News You Need is a look at current events and how they affect the college community and beyond. And now here's the host of News You Need, Dr. Ed Simpson.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting edition of News You Need. This is the program where we talk with the most amazing people in the whole world, which is our USM students. So we do have an excellent group of international students with us today. So we're very excited to talk to them about where they're from and about their experience here at USM and maybe their experience with Mississippi. So maybe we'll chat about all of that. But first, why are we here? Well, this is the show where, in addition to talking to our students, we talk about what's in the news. We talk about the headlines that our students are interested in, and we get their thoughts on the issues of the day. And the reason we care about the news is that the news is the weather report for our society, right? This is the idea that the why you watch the weather is to see, well, how do you dress? Do you need an umbrella? Do you need to make plans for severe weather? All of that kind of stuff. The news serves the same function for our communities and our society. What issues are coming at us as citizens that we need to make decisions about? So that's why we consume the news. That's why we're interested in it. And so let's begin today. If you would, introduce yourself. Tell us your name, what rank you're in, maybe freshman, senior, sophomore, whatever, where you're from, and what your major is.
Yep. Well, I'll go first. My name is Megan. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica. I've been here for 4 years now. I'm a grad student, and my major is biomedical science. I'm pre-med.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll definitely come back to you. Okay?
My name is Jamia. I'm from Nassau, Bahamas. I study business administration. I'm in my senior year here, and I'm a transfer student, so I've been here for 2 years at USM.
I'm sorry, what's your major?
Business administration.
Business administration. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want to do?
I want to own my own business one day back home in the Bahamas, probably a resort or a recreational center, something along those lines.
Okay. Okay, so now both of you, so Caribbean, so how'd you find USM?
Well, actually, there's a recruiter. Her name is Miss Petra Marlin, and she travels all over the place. And she was in Jamaica around the time that I was looking to the U.S. and looking for colleges. I didn't initially plan to come to the U.S. It was sort of like a last-minute decision, and so I was at my SAT prep center, and she just happened to be there on the day, and we had a quick chat. And, yeah, it didn't take much to convince me to come here, honestly.
Wow, okay. And how long have you been here now?
I've been here since January of 2020.
Okay, wow, okay. So you started your undergrad here, and then you went on to grad school here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what do you want to do with the rest of your life?
I want to be a plastic surgeon, but there's a long way to go.
Okay, so you're applying for medical schools?
Yes, in May.
Okay, and where are you looking to go to medical school?
Whew. Well, looking at New York because they have a tuition-free medical school, actually. But other than that, I don't know.
Okay. Well, there you go. We do have one medical school in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, two. I lied. We have at least two. So William Carey has a medical school.
Mm-hmm. And UMMC.
Yeah,
but they don't take international students.
They don't.
No.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, you have an interesting long path, but a really fascinating one. So do you plan on staying in the U.S. after medical school?
I'll just have to see where life takes me.
Okay.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So how did you find USM?
So I transferred from Kansas. It was a public school there, Emporia State University, and then I came here in August 2022, and it just was like cheaper for me, and it's like closer to the south and closer to home, so I was like, why not?
Well, a little closer. Yeah. How did you end up in Emporia?
So I used to go to high school in Kansas off a softball scholarship for 2 years. I was at Life Preparatory Academy, so I just went to college there instead of trying to find.
Okay, see, I did not know that our private high schools recruit.
Yeah, it's a private international school. Yeah.
Interesting. So soccer.
No, I played softball.
Softball.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get any college offers to play softball?
I did, but I rejected them because I didn't want to do softball in college. Like I didn't.
Okay, gotcha. It's a big commitment.
Yeah, I just wanted to focus on my career.
Okay, so speaking of which, what do you want to do when you get out?
I want to. Oh, like career-wise?
Yeah, career-wise. I think you told us a little bit, but give us a little more.
I would say I pretty much have a diverse way of how I look at what I want my career to be. I initially wanted to be a model, but now I want to do influencer work with a little bit of gym lifestyle. But My last goal would be to own a resort back home and probably a recreational center.
Interesting. So you're still very much into athletics, fitness, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you say influencer, what's in your head?
Mainly lifestyle, vlogging, Instagram, such like
Yeah.
that.
So do you have an Instagram following now?
Yeah. But it's
What do you
not
got?
that
How
big.
many?
2.6.
Yeah, well, that's not all.
Yeah.
How many do you have?
Oh, I'm not an
You're not
influencer.
even on it? Yeah.
I'm just a regular
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, that's approximately 2.6 thousand more than I have. So there you go. That's great. Really interesting stuff. So how have you found USM? Is USM welcoming to our international students?
I would say USM's pretty welcoming. At first, when I came here, as I told you, I came in January of 2020. So that was a rough time.
Yeah, it was.
That was a rough time. Right after that, it was quarantine. Classes went online. So for me, it was pretty hard. Like, it was tough making friends at first, and then everybody just went home. And I was kind of like, it was just me and a few other international students on campus, and, you know, they had travel restrictions. And so people were scared to go home because we didn't know if we'd be able to come back, that type of thing. So I decided to just stay put. And yeah, I just toughed it out, quarantine and all of that. And then people started returning to campus and things gradually started going back to normal, I would say maybe 2021, that fall. But yeah, people have been very welcoming. As I said, that was a tough time, and I feel like it was a tough time for everyone. So I don't think international students really were the focus at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
So we kind of just had to look out for each other, and there was a good community of people here looking out for us. And then yeah, when we came back, we had to settle in, and I've had to make like that effort to sort of make friends because, as I said in the beginning, I was trying. My accent was still very heavy.
I wondered about it because your accent is really just a little bit in the background right now.
Yeah.
You've done a good job. If you wanted to do that, you've done a good job.
Well, it was kind of unintentional because I did work at the USM Foundation for a while in their call center, and we were fundraising. So didn't want to have too heavy of a Jamaican accent while collecting credit card information on the phone.
So if you stop thinking about it, will your accent come back?
I don't really think about it. It's just who I'm talking to. I sort of
Yeah.
bounce
So
off your accent.
say something like to your mom.
How about this? I'll talk to Jamia.
There you go. There you go.
What do you want me to say?
Anything. Just say, this is what I had for breakfast. Whatever. I want to hear the full-on Jamaican accent.
I can't just do that off the whim.
Okay, never mind. That's okay. Think about it. We'll try later. Okay, so how was
Doesn't work like
I didn't
that.
mean to put you on the spot. So how was your experience?
So I came here in August 2022, so that's like post-COVID, but still like getting into like taking out the regulations and all that stuff. I still had to wear a mask, my orientation, but not so much. It was hybrid classes, so I didn't get to see that much people, but I still saw some international students at the orientation. I met two of my good friends. They actually, one from Trinidad and one from Barbados.
Okay, well, we're gonna pause right here, and we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna pick up with our first USM experiences after the break.
Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277. And the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
Calling all families.
Calling all children and kids of all ages.
Are you looking for a variety of music the whole family can listen to?
Yeah!
Then look no further. We have traditional songs, international tunes, and fresh new beats.
Join us every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m.
Right here on Southern Miss Radio.
for the Hickory Dickory Dock Show. Catch you Saturday. Catch you then.
Okay, we are back. We're back with our amazing international guest. And my producer was just teasing me during the break that I'm getting all excited about our international students. But, you know, we just don't talk to you guys very often. So it's a really excellent chance to hear from our international students that we often see, but we don't hear from a lot. So you were saying you came in the pandemic too. Has USM been welcoming? Have you found it a good place to be? And
Yes, I really would say it has been welcoming, more welcoming than my last school. Like I feel like more international students are here, and it's a diverse group. So it's not only like Nigerians or like I don't know, what's the other one?
Caribbean people, you know, we
Well,
have Indian
yeah,
students.
Indian students. So it's like more like diverse. So we have Caribbean people, Ethiopian people, Nigerian. Like, so it's just like I feel like it was good that they had a diverse crowd, and I felt more welcome that way to have people who are just like me to talk to and stuff.
yeah, so let me ask you about that. So are you finding it relatively easy to mix and mingle with the U.S., the native U.S. students, or are we kind of keeping to our own sides of things, the internationals and the U.S. students?
For me, I relatively stay to who I know or like who I'm comfortable with. I don't have a problem with the U.S. students. It's just like a bit harder to like try and bend the cultures and like be friends with them without it being like coming off as ignorant or me having to teach you all the time or like having to fix my tone
Oh.
or how I talk, stuff like that. So
Or old people asking you to speak Jamaican, right?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
yeah. I mean, that's a real. I get it. That's a real problem. You know, people like me should know better. So well, that is in many ways not surprising, but also a little disheartening. That we would want our students, all of our students, to benefit from your experiences. So it's hard to, but I know it's hard to do that, right? What has there been any big real surprises coming to the U.S. or coming to Mississippi? Is it okay? Is it easy to spend money? Is it easy to buy things? Is it easy to get around?
That's what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get around, like, if you don't have a car. So one of the first things that they told us was get a friend with a car. Like in international student orientation was get a friend with a car. So if you know any international students, they definitely need a ride to Walmart. They need rides to the airport. Like just things that you probably don't really think of
Right.
on the day to day. Like we were just talking about how Jamia needed some like flu medicine, and we're thinking about where can we
the
go that's close
and cheapest.
and cheapest, you know.
Wow.
So
You don't think about that often. So I do know we have an International Student Association. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I guess it has been helpful. We also have organizations that cater to specifically Afro-Caribbeans. So it's the ACS Club, ACS organization. I really think it's a diverse group. We do have a smaller crowd of Caribbeans than Africans, though. So I would say it's still like something we have to juggle with when it comes to like comparing and contrasting our cultures.
Yeah, interesting. Oh, that's just all fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to turn. I'm going to switch subjects here on you all. Talk to me about what are our graduates, what are our USM students talking about? What's news to our USM students, and what's used to our international students, which is even more fascinating in some ways.
well, what I've found is it's hard to say what's news to our USM students, first of all, because I feel like there are just so many different pockets. You know, for us, as I said, we kind of keep to our African Caribbean friends, and we're like, okay, what events are we going to put on? You know, what's next? So, or like, who's a new student that needs help? That type of thing. So we kind of stay in our own little bubble. And then I'll see something on social media, and I'll be like, I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, like, what's new
Yeah.
for USM students generally.
Right.
You know, I can say what's new for us.
Well, no, I'm interested in that. What is news for you guys?
What is new for us?
What do you guys following on your social media? Do you follow news from back home primarily?
Yes, we're having elections in Jamaica.
I wondered about that. Okay, so how are those going?
It's interesting. I just saw like a meme, and it was just like, our two parties are JLP, and their color is green, and then we have PNP, their color is orange. And so they said, voting for JLP and PNP, it's about who pays me more. So that happens at election time, like, or ministers go around and they give people like a little bit of money, and whoever they get more from, that's who gets the votes.
Really?
So yeah, we're having.
Okay.
So if you go to Jamaica, stay away from wearing green and wearing orange right now. No, it's not the time.
Okay. Do you follow politics in the Bahamas at all?
Sometimes, but mostly based on sports and agriculture because like that's what I like. But like when it comes to politics, like government politics, I don't really follow that much. But like if it's Independence Day or Labor Day or like Majority Rule Day, like I follow up on that stuff like that.
Okay. So you pretty much stay out of U.S. news you don't worry about too much.
I tried to.
We try to stay out of it, but it just be shooting us in the face. Like this is what going on in the U.S. Like the AT&T thing. Like I didn't even know about that.
Well, there
I just
you
saw
go.
something.
Yeah. You know, that's a headline I didn't even pull, but I wondered if our students were affected by that. Did you all lose signal?
I didn't.
I don't have AT&T.
I don't have AT&T.
Well,
so-
AT&T is not as big down here. I think I have Verizon. I don't know who you guys have.
Did you lose signal?
I did not. No.
I saw the TVs in the rec center. They're not working either. So
Oh,
I guess
interesting.
TV lines too.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's repaired now. I believe it is. But that's interesting. Well, let me throw a headline or two at you, and let me get your thoughts on it. So the U.S. Is a bit of an interesting place right now, right? So we're also in the midst of an election. So we have you guys have heard of Donald Trump? What do you think of Donald?
Donald is a
What
savage.
does Donald think? What does Donald think of us?
That's
is
a
the question.
bigger question. Oh,
Donald
I love
think
that.
about us,
Okay. Excellent.
Does
Okay.
he think about us?
I don't.
I don't.
Who knows? You know. So interesting reaction. What about Joe Biden? You know, so Joe Biden's president, and do you guys think about Joe Biden?
Honestly, I
Not
don't.
really,
I
no.
don't even think about him.
Well, you guys can't vote, obviously.
we can't.
No.
So
It's just like either way,
it's just
It's whatever goes. And
we
we
just
here
have to
and
make sure
abide
that
by
we
the laws.
stick to
yeah. It's
immigration laws.
It's like watching a sporting match. Immigration laws are huge, right? Well, so let me throw a headline at you. So what's going on in the U.S. right now is very much a cultural divide that you've probably seen, maybe back even in your home countries. So you have your conservatives on your right, you have your so-called liberals on your left, and they're always fighting about various things, right? So here's a headline from CNN. I don't know how you guys get your news, but CNN. A Texas judge ruled Thursday that the state's Crown Act, and I'll talk about that in a minute, does not make it unlawful for school dress codes to limit a student's hair length. So this was a young African-American student who's a male student who had long dreadlocks.
I saw that one.
You saw that one. Okay, so what do you all think?
I just think it's ridiculous.
Me
It's
too.
hair. It doesn't affect you from learning. And if you're gonna suspend someone, you're the one who's preventing them from learning at that point.
Exactly.
So it doesn't make sense.
And if he has long hair and he has to cut it, then the person, white or Latino person who has long hair, they have to cut it too.
Yeah.
I guess it should be fair game.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you read the story, they go into this. It's bizarre how specific the hair rules are for men in this Texas school district. You can only be at your collar length if you're wearing a T-shirt. It has to be, and then it can't be it has to be above your eyebrows. Blah 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 blah. They go on and on and on. And so you guys aren't buying it. That's just ridiculous.
No, but I can say back home they do that at public schools too. So like you have to have a buzz cut, like no hair, because they affiliate long hair or like raggedy hair with like gang affiliation. So
Interesting.
you have to cut your like at school or wrap your locks in like a headscarf or something.
So you're used to these kind of restrictions.
And it's interesting in Jamaica too. We had the same types of arguments because, as you know, we have Rastafarians in Jamaica. And so it was crazy for a long time that they were expecting the boys to cut their hair. Same thing that she said, like they're expected to have that buzz cut. But now it's a little bit more lax, especially if you have like for religious reasons. If you're Rastafarian, they let it slide.
Interesting. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of issues that seem common across. So here's another headline. This is another one of these cultural things that I think took a lot of people by surprise. Alabama judge rules frozen embryos are children.
Can you claim them on your taxes?
So so we've moved from Texas to Alabama. An Alabama judge rules frozen embryos are children. Did you guys catch this one?
I
I
caught
saw
that
that
one.
on your story.
I caught that
Well,
one.
you guys actually are much more up on the news than some of our other students.
I feel
Yeah.
like
So what do
social
you-
media
what-
just
ha-
throws it at you though.
How does that strike you?
They throw all the bad stuff at you, if that makes sense.
I feel like, are the people who are making these laws, are they medical professionals? Do they study biology in any way, shape, or form? That's what I'm concerned about. I feel like the ones who are making the laws are not educated on the rules that they're making. That's the part that I don't like.
Well, this judge in particular quoted the Bible and said God would like this ruling?
Did God tell him that? Did God?
Yeah. Okay.
There's
there.
no words. I have no words for that.
Yeah. So this may be one of these. It's a little bit. I mean, I don't agree with any of these things, but I guess I understand it a little bit. But I'm not sure what is the ramification of an embryo being treated as a human being.
Right. What comes next?
What comes next? So there are already parents that are not parents, but adults that are saying, okay, we are paying this clinic to hold a dozen of our fertilized eggs. Do we have to pay that forever? Because right now, I mean, you can end the contract, say, okay, we changed our mind, we don't want children, and they'd either destroy the embryos or sell them for research or whatever. But if they're treated as children, what do you do?
That's a trap.
It's really interesting. That's really going. Okay, let me throw another headline here at you, and this one's a little bit more weird. So, New York Times, a marketplace of girl influencers. You might be interested in this idea. A marketplace of girl influencers managed by moms and stocked by men. So this was a New York Times investigation looking at social media influencers who are like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. Their sites or their feeds are managed by their mothers, and they're often taken using photographs of these young girls in things like bikinis and revealing kind of things, and it's attracting this whole group of what is clearly men who lean toward pedophilia. What do you think?
I think that happens like a lot. I just saw the other day there was this guy from LSU who was caught selling child pornography using his student email, and I just was like, okay, this is like not news, but it's just like, not only is he dumb, but he's also a pedophile. So it's like
He's evil and dumb.
yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I just feel like it's weird that even the mothers, they probably do it for profit, but it's such like a immoral thing to do, like to sell child pornography.
Yeah.
And I think we need to revisit laws concerning children having these. Obviously, you said it's run by their moms, but children are being the target, obviously, of these immoral individuals. And so I think they need to tighten up on the laws concerning those social media accounts.
Yeah, and I think that's where the New York Times was heading. Okay, we are going to take a break, and we're going to pick up with maybe a final headline and some closing thoughts after the break.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Since 1927, the Student Prince has been a direct conduit to USM students. Get your share of the more than $600 million USM brings into South Mississippi by advertising your business or service in the Student Prince. To find out more about how to advertise in the Student Prince, email sm2sales@usm.edu.
Okay, we are back talking to our amazing panel of international students, where we were just commenting through the break that you guys actually seemed a little better informed than our average USM student.
It's crazy.
Is that crazy? Is that, yeah. So when you think about the U.S., is the U.S. Are we nuts compared to your home country?
No.
And I'm thinking in my head things like these social issues we just talked about, things like guns, like all of the shootings that you see here in the U.S., all of that crime that you see in the U.S. So what do you think overall?
I don't think y'all are any more crazy than my home country. Trust me, there's a lot going on in Jamaica, but I think the U.S. is more open to having discussions, whereas where I'm from, we lean more traditional, and there's not that much room for discussion. So y'all argue more. It seems that way, but really it's just that y'all have room for everybody to make their opinion heard. So I think that's a good thing.
Interesting perspective.
I also think that they show a lot of the stuff that go on in the U.S. more than they would back home or like in the Caribbean or it's not or other countries. Like they feed into that media trend. Like they make it a media trend so that people could like follow up on it and keep talking about it. And that's where the money is. Like the more you talk about it, the more media you get. And that's what I think. It's they capitalizing off of it.
Yeah, the idea of making money, right? The more eyeballs you get, the more clicks you get, the more money you make. And there's definitely a real energy for that in the United States, perhaps less so in the Bahamas or in Jamaica. So really interesting. Well, so let me throw a Mississippi headline or two at you, and I'd be shocked if you'd heard of either one of these. But I'm curious about number one, what you think of Mississippi, and number two, if you've heard of what we're all about, right? So here's what Mississippi Today, which is a nonprofit news organization, probably the best in the country, I would say. Here's a headline: "It's just an old place. Senate bill would shutter, as in close down, most of Parchman Prison." So the background on it, so Parchman Prison is one of the most famous prisons in the United States, mainly for how inhumane and how awful the conditions have been since the post-Civil War. So now there's been a bill introduced in the Mississippi legislature to actually close down Parchman and build a new prison.
Okay.
It's about $165 million, which they say would be actually cheaper than trying to fix the current Parchman. And so this is the background on this, is that the U.S. Department of Justice issued a report in 2022 that said the conditions were so bad in the prison that they were unconstitutional, as in cruel and unusual punishment.
Oh my goodness.
So has nothing like this has cracked your information?
No.
You haven't heard anything about
No.
about the. I'm not surprised that you would, but a lot of people would say, well, yeah, Mississippi's well known for how it treats certain of its citizens. Has that come up in your conversations, that Mississippi has an interesting past and an interesting way of dealing with some of our citizens?
Yeah, so when I first came to Mississippi or like even got admitted to USM, my brother was like, "Mississippi, you sure?" Like, you know? So I just was like, yeah, but this part of the town is like college and all that stuff. And I haven't experienced it personally, but I know that other people have and like the whole history behind it, of course. So, I mean, it still happens today, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, when I told people that I was coming to Mississippi, the first thing that they said was like racism. That's the first thing that we hear about. Look out for Confederate flags. My friend literally told me like, anywhere you see too many Confederate flags, you're in the wrong place. Like you need to leave. And at the time, I didn't even know what a Confederate flag was. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know. So I had to like do some research and look to see what that was. And funny story, when I had come here, we still had the old flag, the old Mississippi flag. And I didn't know that a little piece of it was like a Confederate flag. And I had gone for a little jog on Longleaf Trace. And there was the flag, the Mississippi flag. But it had the little Confederate thing in the corner. And I remember at the time I didn't know it was a Mississippi flag. And I had sent it to one of our international directors or something. And I was like, hey, do I need to be concerned? And she was like, oh, that's the Mississippi flag. So for me personally, it was kind of a big deal when that flag got changed over because I feel a little bit safer, like knowing the history of the Confederate flag and everything.
That's a great story, great perspective. You guys have been amazing. Thank you very much. What a great conversation today. This is a production of Southern Miss Student Media. Our producer is Lillian Scott. Thank you, Lillian, for all your work. Our engineer is Triderica Winters. Thank you, Triderica. And our videographer is Elena Petleski. So thank you all for this. We will be back next week, which will be our show before spring break. I think Lillian is cheering. She's ready for spring break. We will be back with you next week.
This has been News You Need with Dr. Ed Simpson. News You Need airs Friday afternoon at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio.